Hello there, this is Critical from Cridical Media, just taking a look at one of Junji Ito's latest story collection releases from 2023 called Tombs. And what we usually do at this channel is give you an idea of what to expect if you ever come across these books in the wild. So we go over the exterior, some bonus material, art and plot points, and then a brief review at the end. Now, yes, this one, another banger, originally from Asahi Shimbun back in 2013. But yeah, it's another collection of stories, and it's very diverse. I do appreciate it this time. Yeah, but in terms of just walking around the book, very similar to the other story collections, where it kind of has a matte, proper finish. The emboss is gloss as well as the spine. It'll look pretty nice on your shelf. This striking green, I like it. And of course, just a little synopsis on the back here, as always. But very typical. It's about 350 pages, so I will say it's a very good deal, especially if you pre-ordered it. And now, there's not much in terms of bonus material. After all, we are getting a lot of different stories this time, right? But you know, it is a story collection, so maybe let's just take a look at the table of contents. So yeah, the aforementioned Tombs, or titular, I should say, Clubhouse, Slug Girl, Windows, The Window Next Door, Washed Ashore, Strange Tale of the Tunnel, man, that's so good, Bronze Statue, Floaters, and The Bloody Story of Shirosuna. Now, if you want my recommends, I'll say, yeah, Tombs was good, but probably the standout I just mentioned, Strange Tunnel and the Strange Tale of the Tunnel is probably one of my favorites. The Bronze Statue is the next follow up, and The Bloody Story of Shirosuna. Floaters was really good too, especially the ending. But anywho, at least to give you a little bit of taste into each book. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil things. These stories, as you're kind of seeing, the biggest one is about 60 pages. The next biggest one is like 50. But you'll get some smaller ones too. But at least for the first story here, Tombs. Yeah, essentially it's this brother and sister, Kaoru and Tsuyoshi. Basically, they get a letter from one of her friends that moved to another town, Izumi. And yeah, they just invite her over. So this guy got his new car. They're just young. You get the impression that they're not 18 yet. But anyways, it pretty much plays out where they're on their way to town. Something happens. Don't want to show you what happens at least. So maybe just go over here. But anywho, they get to the town and they notice that these weird tombstones just are erected everywhere. And this town apparently is very religious. Like, they basically leave you where you lie when you die, and out of nowhere, a tombstone will just appear. It doesn't matter where you happen to perish. It just there'll be a tombstone there for animals, human beings, whatever. It's just like a religious aspect, I guess. But anywho, what I really do dig about this story, because they kind of show you at the beginning what the trouble is. It has this excellent air of I guess, what's the word? Oh yes, it has this excellent air of guilt and tension that's kind of building and building. Because essentially they visit the friend and her sister is missing, Ayumi. So it's funny how, like, they're not too worried at first, and then as the story progresses, it makes sense that they become more and more concerned. You get this constant idea that this guy, he just keeps brushing off something very obvious at the beginning. But, it's funny how even the guilt begins to get to him as well. He even has a thing for Izumi. So it's almost this idea of, he doesn't want to tell her too much of what really happened or whatnot. But I love how, like, all the tension and the detective work is placed into this book. Not too much of, what's the word? I'd say, well, yeah, you do get a lot of paranormal. What am I saying? I'll retract that. But it's pretty heavy, the overall arc of it. So definitely appreciate it, that's for sure. But yeah, this pretty much almost feels like Ito was heavily inspired by, I guess, the Telltale Heart, the Edgar Allan Poe. Because yeah, that's like a constant throughout the whole story, like that tension building and building, right? But anywho, at least onto Clubhouse here. Admittedly, this is one of the weaker stories. I just don't feel it has enough to it. It does roll into this haunted house narrative. These three friends, they're very good friends, Minae, Shikako, and, forgive me, Yukari. But it does play out pretty much like a haunted house story that you would expect. It is probably the weakest of the bunch, I will admit. So I won't really talk about it too much. It's pretty much a fair face value story. But probably one of my favorite ones was this one here, but just because of the weird nature of it, Slug Girl. So this one's one of the shorter ones, but I'll say this: it's short for a good reason. So yeah, this girl, she just, she was always at school. She's very talkative. All of a sudden, she stops talking. Then all of a sudden, she stops showing up at school. As the name suggests, you kind of have an idea what it's about, right? So let me cover the last page here, just so you can't see. Anyways, but yeah, it's pretty good for a short, brief story. And as usual with Ito, he kind of just ends it very abruptly, because that's often the best kind of horror, when you don't know what the future holds. The Window Next Door, yeah, I guess, yeah. This one's probably one of the, it's on the fence of being really good and then just being good. But essentially a family, they move into a new home, and there's this neighbor house next door that has one window in the entire building. And it really, yeah, it does kind of play out with that one idea. But probably one page I just want to show is this awesome, like, art design here from Ito. Like, this character design here haunts your dreams. Like, so damn good. Like, man, I swear he was definitely just trying to haunt your dreams, keep this permanently ingrained in your brain, because, man, that's how it is for me. I remember when I finished reading this, then a few days later, what the hell, why am I still thinking about this one? This wasn't even one of my favorites, but yet there it is, right? But yeah, just unique in that light, just to show that one image. Now, Washed Ashore. Admittedly, this one isn't really too scary or whatnot. It does have a paranormal aspect, but you'll notice I have Gil here, and it's kind of because it relates a bit to Gil. Like, it has a similar theme in it. Just some creature that ends up on shore. This very almost androgynous character. Can't tell if it's male or female. I'm gonna go with female, actually. But yeah, admittedly, it's not the greatest of the bunch, but still interesting. It still has that sci-fi paranormal aspect. So at least unique in that sense. But you'll see, as per the bookmark here, probably my favorite story of the bunch, The Strange Tale of the Tunnel. You know what? Another reason why I have Gil there is Gil had that bonus story, The Enigma of the Amigara Fault, which drew people into it. This is pretty much a similar theme that they use here for this Strange Tale of the Tunnel. So yeah, it's just follows this character, Goro, and he's just reenacting, or should I say, reminiscing on the events that brought him here from when he was a young man. And that's pretty much where the narrative picks up. Where, yeah, his mother went into this tunnel. She was never seen again. Then, over time you discover more and more that there's something going on with this tunnel. But yeah, probably one of my favorite forms of exposition is this. Ito's used this before, where like a group of boys will go out and, yeah, they'll try and investigate something. And through the boys talking to each other, almost like in a Goonies fashion, you get more and more of the backstory of this tunnel, like all the horrible things that have happened. And yet there's that common theme that, yeah, people just get drawn in. But yeah, I feel like Ito got a chance to really show a lot of his those horror tropes or imageries with these establishing shots, like the marks on the walls, the ghost trains aspects and whatnot. Just very on point. I definitely appreciate all that aspect. And even just the staging of it all, very cinematic. So just such a unique story. And as usual with Ito, he tries to give you a real world explanation, but then can't, which is the best part. But at least it's a good enough red herring that it try to gives you hope, at least enough hope to make you almost like lower your defenses. But nobody is safe in this story. I loved this one so much. As mentioned, it's basically like if the Amigara Fault was like expanded and made longer. This is it. Like, such a banger. I almost wish they called the story collection just this story. But anywho, I get it. It's a long title, so it's all good. But anywho, another follow-up here. I love this one too. Bronze Statue. This one has a lot of that. You know what? This is where I feel like Ito has that perfect marriage of the paranormal mixed in with the real world horrors of our world, right? So yeah, just opens up with this, just this quick synopsis of the past. And in a nutshell, it's about this statue that gets erected. It's basically of this woman. The woman's alive still. It's just that the statue's way more beautiful than the woman actually is, apparently. This is just as per the characters in the story. But I just love the whole concept of it. Like, it plays on the concepts of vanity. It plays on the concepts of these, what's the word? It almost has that connection to the Narcissus story from Greek mythology. As a matter of fact, I feel like there's a direct reference eventually in the book to that, but very on point. But yeah, like you end up dealing with this murder mystery as well. Like it has a lot of different angles going on at once. And one thing I love about Ito is his form of storytelling, because he kind of planted a seed at the beginning of the story as to how it was going to all wrap up. And I kind of had a feeling it was going to wrap up that way. Go figure. That's exactly what happened. But yeah, much, much, much better than I was expecting. That's definitely for sure. But anywho, yes, at least on to Floaters here. Another good story too. Actually, I should say great story. Essentially, yeah, it just starts off where, yeah, you're just seeing all these weird flying little fluffy little items in the world. And when you touch them, they actually speak, and it actually tells people secrets. So it's very unique in that sense. But probably one of the best parts of the story is this character here, Kazuya. Basically just a straight up jerk. He goes around hunting them, trying to find out everybody's secrets kind of thing. And there's an ironic twist at the end. I love how Ito plants the seed through the dialogue of what really is going on with this kid. And then you find out by the end. It's definitely unique, that's for sure. But yeah, I just absolutely, yeah, I do actually want to put this one up as one of the better stories. I really did enjoy this one a lot. So yeah, never mind, there's actually 5 awesome stories in this book. And then I guess at the very end of this one is the bloody story of Shirosuna. Now, the problem with me showing this one is that because the story has a lot of visual storytelling to it, it's hard for me to even show you what's going on in it, but I'll just take it for my word. It's ridiculously good. If it's not the best story, it's the second best story. And to me, yeah, it's probably the second best story overall. But man, this one was a banger. Man, I almost want to show you, but I can't. Like, as I said, like almost every page is like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. But that's kind of the point of horror. Like, you're better kept in the dark with certain things because, and I've actually appreciated that about certain horror, that, the less you know, the better it is. One of the best films out there was Cat People. You never actually saw the cat people way back in. And I feel like, yeah, Ito was definitely employing some of that with some of these stories here. But hey, you know what? It's not so much about me at this point. Hopefully you guys got your own opinions about it. And I wouldn't mind seeing them in the comments down below, as always. And hopefully y'all folks enjoy the rest of your day as well. Take care.